telephone service. Approach 1. One-stop shopping. The airline provides a single URL. The web service is responsible for examining incoming client requests to determine their priority and process them accordingly. Approach 1. Disadvantages. There is currently no industry accepted practice for expressing priorities, so rules would need to be made. Thus, clients must learn the rule and web service application must be written to understand the rule. This approach is based upon the incorrect assumption that a URL is expensive and that their use must be rationed. The web service is central point of failure. It is a bottleneck. Load balancing is a challenge. It violates Tim Berners-Lee web design. This is the web design. Axiom 0. Tim Berners-Lee, director of W3C. Axiom 0. All resources on the web must be uniquely identified with the URL. URLs are cheap. Use them. The airline provides several URLs. One URL for premium members, a different URL for frequent flyers, and still another for regular customers. Approach 2. Advantages. The different URLs are discoverable by search engines and UDDI registries. It's easy to understand what each service does simplify by examining the URL. It exploits the principle of least surprise. There is no need to introduce rules. Priorities are evaluated to the level of a URL. What you see is what you get. It is easy to implement high priority. Simply assign a fast machine at the premium member URL. There is no bottleneck. There is no central point of failure. Consistent with Axiom 0. Recap. We have looked at reservation service. We have seen a telephone-based version and a web-based version of the reservation service. With each version, we have seen two main approaches to implementing the service. Which approach is the REST design pattern and which is not? See the following. This is not the REST design pattern. And this is the REST design pattern. This is not the REST design pattern. And also this is the REST design pattern. Two fundamental aspects of the REST design pattern. Resources. Every distinguishable entity is a resource. A resource may be a website, an HTML page, an XML document, a web service, physical device. URLs identify resources. Every resource is uniquely identified by URL. This is Tim Berners-Lee web design. Axiom 0. The three fundamental aspects of REST design pattern: resources, URLs, simple operations. In HTTP, web browsers or spiders typically act as clients, while an application running on the computer hosting the website acts as a server. Its use for retrieving interlinked resources led to the establishment of the World Wide Web. REST and HTTP. REST is the way we all should use HTTP. Today we only use a tiny bit of HTTP protocols methods, namely GET and POST. The REST way to do it is to use all of the protocols methods. REST does not add any specific functionality to HTTP, but it is an architectural style that was developed alongside HTTP and most commonly uses HTTP for its application layer protocol. REST was initially described in the context of HTTP, but it is not limited to that protocol. RESTful architectures can be based on other application layer protocols if they already provide a rich and uniform vocabulary for applications based on the transfer of meaningful representational state. RESTful applications maximize the use of pre-existing well-defined interface and other built-in capabilities provided by the chosen network protocol and minimize the addition of new application-specific features on the top of it. If you are looking for the most significant constraints of REST that distinguish a RESTful application from just any HTTP application, the self-description constraint requires a RESTful request to be completely self-descriptive in the user's intent. The allows intermediaries, proxies and caches to act on the message safely. REST is a specific way of approaching the design of big systems like the web. HTTP is a protocol that tries to obey those rules. REST is a post hoc description of the web. HTTP 1.1 was designed to conform to REST. Its methods are defined well enough to get work done. Unsurprisingly, HTTP is the most RESTful protocol, but it's possible to apply REST concepts to other protocols and systems. HTTP uses MIME media types to identify data formats, which means that developers must consider the nature of their services and decide what MIME types they support. HTTP support content negotiation between client and services. HTTP properties, a comprehensive addressing scheme. HTTP protocol uses the concept of a reference provided by the Universal Resource Identifier as a location, URL or name URN for indicating the resource on which a method is to be applied. REST and SOAP. SOAP is really a protocol for XML based distributed computing. SOAP is a transport neutral. SOAP by itself is not that complex, but it can get complex. Who is using SOAP? Google seems to be consistent in implementing their web services to use SOAP, with the exception of Blogger, which uses XML RPC. You will find SOAP web services in lots of enterprise software as well. Why we use REST? REST is unique in the following ways. It has the most clearly documented strengths and weaknesses. It is already implemented in tools from Apache to J2EE to Squid. It is proven in large-scale real-world HTML, not XML. Advantages of REST. Its architectural constraints when applied as a whole generate scalable component interactions, general interfaces, independently deployed connectors, reduced interaction latency, strengthened security, safe encapsulation of legacy systems. And this is the end of our video. Thank you everyone.